So, you want to learn more about our adorable lady with an eye patch, Tangtang? If that's what you're looking for, you're in the right place, because in this video, I'll be breaking down everything you need to know about Tangtang, even including some things you may not have known about her. I'll also be including some of her best combos for you to easily learn how to play her well, so feel free to use the timestamps for your convenience as well. And with that said, let's get into it. We'll start with a summary on the character. Tangtang is a 6-star cryo element caster that plays the role of a cryo sub DPS / support. She provides cryo infliction, SP return, art susceptibility, the haste buff, slow debuff, all from her battle skill. At the same time, her damage multipliers on her skill and her ult are both very decent, so do expect her to pack a punch too. Literally the whole army in her entire kit, dude. Her general gameplay will involve creating whirlpools, which is this blue glowy block that drops after her combo. Once you do that, you can use your skill to spawn a water spout and turn any whirlpools on field into an extra water spout. You can use her ult with a dive attack too to achieve the same result, and by doing so, you'll be inflicting the maximum art susceptibility, maximum cryo inflictions, dealing the best damage. Pretty much everything that her kit has to offer, you'll be able to do fully. A pretty simple character. Given her entire kit, the best teams that she will ideally improve upon will be cryo teams like Yvonne or Rite. More on her teams later though. Now that you understand her generally, let's dive deeper into her kit. Her basics are normal 5 sequence as usual, nothing too crazy. Now she is a long range character, which is actually nice. I do prefer playing with them since it feels safer. In any case though, let's move to her battle skill. Tangtang fires a point blank shot that deals cryo damage and creates a water spout surrounding the enemy. The water spout will apply 1 stack of cryo infliction for enemies within range while doing damage over time. You can use this skill to consume any whirlpools on the field and spawn extra water spouts based on the whirlpools consumed. And depending on the number of water spouts spawned with this effect, you will gain increased SP return and increased art susceptibility too. You will only be able to have 3 total water spouts at once, since there's only 2 whirlpools that can exist on the field at once. So if you do everything perfectly, you reach 3 total water spouts and you will apply a total of 10% art susceptibility on the enemies at the maximum. It's not the highest multiplier ever on the susceptibility, but do consider that Tangtang also regenerates SP with this, so it's honestly a pretty packed skill already. From this, it's obvious that Tangtang will require you to spawn whirlpools, then convert them into water spouts. And the way you spawn whirlpools is with her combo skill. You can trigger a combo while applying cryo infliction or dealing art burst damage. Tangtang will simply attack enemies with a jet stream and create a whirlpool on the field. Only 2 whirlpools can exist at once. Her first talent though actually helps provide 20% haste to allies and 40% slow for enemies within the 5-meter radius of this whirlpool. This effect is actually more quality of life than anything, because it can be hard to always stay within the small radius in different fight scenarios, but what it's specifically really good for is to help out gilberta with it. Gathering slowed enemies is such a comfortable situation, and all of this while moving faster as well with haste for your allies. It's just a really comfortable scenario. Next off will be Tangtang's ultimate. This creates an area that stops all enemies within it. This area only lasts for 4 seconds. However though, the effect that stops all enemies will also include even bosses or elite monsters, so it's actually one of the most valuable effects on her kit, being able to hard control literally anything in the game. Within this area, you'll also deal damage over time, and when it ends, a rogue wave will deal 1 extra big damage at the end. Now what's special is that if the controlled operator performs a dive attack within the ult's area, the ult will end early and you'll do significantly more damage with the rogue wave hit. Not only that, based on her second talent as well, when you end the ult duration early with the dive attack, you will also create a water spout while converting all whirlpools on field into extra water spouts. These water spouts will gain an additional 60% damage dealt, and they share the same effects as the water spouts created via her battle skill. So you're getting all the susceptibilities and everything. With all her kit explained, it's obvious to see Tangtang's gameplay loop, which will revolve around using her combo to spawn whirlpools, doing her best to convert them to water spouts with her skill or ult, all while doing very decent damage and providing great damage increase for the whole team too. Genuinely, she does a lot. Next off, let's take a look at her build style. We'll start with her weapon, and obviously her own weapon is the top choice. It is an insanely strong weapon, providing an easily achievable increased arts damage taken on enemies while providing massive cryo damage increase for Tangtang herself. It perfectly improves Tangtang's role of supporting the team while doing damage, so it's a match made in heaven, and the value is quite high. In terms of alternatives though, you can consider consider the new protocol pass weapon, Home Longing, just for some decent damage increase, or the 5-star OBJ Velocitus, mainly to help her have better outgain efficiency. You can also consider any other weapons just for damage's sake, like the Wedge, but I actually do just recommend getting her own signature if you want to unlock her best potential, since it's the only one weapon that suits her this well, where it both increases her own damage and still have unique arts damage taken increase debuff for enemies, so it overall not only helps herself, it helps your whole team too. However though, do you need her own signature for your team to function? Absolutely not. You can still kick ass with a strong main cryo DPS on the team, while Tangtang simply has to do her main job with landing cryo inflictions and susceptibilities. But if you're asking if her weapon is worth pulling for though, I personally think it is, just based on the sheer value that it provides in multiple different areas. Next on the agenda, let's take a look at her gears. You'll be looking for the Bone Crusher set, and you want to use the new gears that you will find in the Chingbo Stockade. Once you play through the new map for a little bit, you'll be able to collect Bone Crusher T2 gears, and these are the ones that you're looking for because those are the ones that has the correct stats. Based on just the stats that make sense, you will have all 4 of your gear be Bone Crusher sets. However though, you can choose to swap off the armor for the Type 50 Yinglong T1 armor in order to get some alt gain efficiency. Whether or not you want to do this will be dependent on your team setup and rotation. If you need more alt gain for your rotation to feel better, feel free to trade in some of her potential damage for alt gain efficiency. You can even consider a full alt gain efficiency build running the Eternal Zero Knight set with a Tidefall light armor, all on alt gain efficiency. This will sacrifice Tangtang's damage but may allow for much smoother rotations. It will be based on what you prefer. Usually though, if you run out of energy or you don't have enough, you usually just be a matter of performing a combo one extra time, or maybe performing a couple of more skills and you have your whole rotation going still. But if you want a really smooth rotation, feel free to go max that alt gain efficiency. You may not be doing as much damage though. Another alternative set you can think about will be the 3-piece Frontier set. This one's a more supportive set, and some of the stats that it provides doesn't exactly match Tangtang's perfectly, but it'll work out, especially if you're just running more of a supportive Tangtang. Now that I have her build ready, let's take a look at her best allies and team setups. To talk about her best allies first, it will most definitely be the usual Cryo characters, since her synergy are all built around a Cryo team archetype. There are a few allies that are exceptionally good with Tangtang, namely Yvonne, Rite, Zaihi, Fluorite, and Gilberta. Of course, there are others like Alesh or kind of just any Cryo characters really, but these are the few that stands out in my opinion. To start with Yvonne, Tangtang not only provides great Cryo infliction for Yvonne, she also is able to control even bosses with her ult, providing a window for Yvonne to shoot a stationary target with her ultimate, something that she sometimes struggles with, which is to shoot jumpy enemies that just dodges her ult area completely. Do note, however, this does mean you won't be ending Tangtang's ult duration early, since you want the full time stop effect, so you will be losing damage overall, but at the very least, Yvonne will be guaranteed to have her whole ult connect on even the jumpiest of enemies. If you don't care for the time stop though, you can still just have the dive attack happen and have all the art susceptibility and cryo infliction fully benefiting Yvonne perfectly. Not to mention the SP return on Tangtang helps with the high SP usage for Yvonne teams as well, so this is a very awesome pairing. As for Zaihi, this one's really not a surprise. Zaihi's combo being able to apply cryo infliction helps with triggering Tangtang's combo, and of course, as one of the best cryo amp buffer, Zaihi benefits even Tangtang's own damage output, which is nothing to be underestimated by the way. She actually does quite a lot, and obviously Zaihi is one of the best allies in any cryo team anyway, including one with Tangtang, so you'll likely be using both of them together. Next, let's talk about Fluorite. This one's actually underrated because you see, Fluorite has a talent that grants her 20% damage dealt increase against slow targets, and guess what? Tangtang's Whirlpool has a slow effect on enemies too. This opens up Fluorite to be a solid sub DPS on top of just applying consistent cryo infliction, so it's one of the best partners with Tangtang to create a very smooth and comfy team rotation with a lot of cryo infliction and damage boost that synergizes with each other, and overall they just make sense. So yep, it's definitely an ally to watch for if you are playing Tangtang. Finally, to mention Gilberta. Obviously her insane susceptibility is always welcomed, but her gather is actually quite improved because of Tangtang's slow effect on enemies too, making AoE situations quite a nice experience for that scenario. Not to mention Tangtang's water spouts can hit more enemies if they're gathered by Gilberta. Very direct value there, and they definitely work together well in an Yvonne team too, since Yvonne can convert both nature infliction and cryo infliction by both Tangtang and Gilberta, so that is a team that can make sense. And with all of that out the way, let's finally look at her teams and combos. I've prepared for you 2 teams, the first being a general Yvonne team. Now this team consists of Yvonne, Zaihi, Tangtang, and Gilberta. I have a general combo that you can use right away if you want to follow along, but do keep in mind though, my Tangtang is nowhere near fully built. She's level 80 with no artificing, and still I am surprised with her damage output output though, honestly. And final thing before we start, do understand that in different situations and different scenario of endgame, you may want to use different combos. This is just an example that you can follow along that I find really fun, and it'll probably help you understand Tangtang fully just by mastering these combos. So let's go in and start. You want to use Zaihi's skill, enter the fight, and use Tangtang's skill first to apply 1 cryo infliction. This will activate Tangtang's own combo, which spawns you your first whirlpool. Then do Yvonne's final strike right into her skill. The skill converts the cryo infliction, and it allows Yvonne to chain right into her final strike again. Now open up Gilberta, Yvonne's, and Zaihi's combo. Go ahead and use them. Then use Zaihi's skill again, do Yvonne's final strike once, then skill right into final strike again. This will trigger Zaihi's combo again, and by this time, Tangtang's combo just went off of cooldown. So you can use her combo again here for the second whirlpool. Now that you have 2 whirlpools on field, use Zaihi's ult, then Tangtang's ult. Then instantly do a dive attack with Yvonne so you end Tangtang's ult immediately. That will convert 2 whirlpools into water spouts, and you'll get the maximum of 3 water spouts to spawn, and that will be the max susceptibility achieved. Then use Yvonne's ultimate, wait for it to spin, then Q in Gilberta's ult. This way you'll achieve the highest damage output with every buff and debuff intact, and it is a very general and simple rotation that aims to maximize damage output. It is especially doable now since in most dungeons or stages, we're finally getting full out energy to begin with, even with restarting. So it's a pretty realistic combo to do and rely on, at least for the opening. The issue begins after the first rotation though, where you may find energy and SP issues, but those can be solved with simply repeating some parts of the combo for longer, or straight up run full out gain cures on some of your characters like Tangtang or Gilberta. As long as you play along the lines of maximizing as many buffs and debuffs as you can, you'll have a perfectly functional team. Now if you're wondering about what if we use Tangtang's ult to stop the boss from moving or changing phases, well, this is a showcase on screen here of how that would look like. It actually does work. You do stop a boss from moving even if they are trying to change phases, allowing you to do more damage for longer before they trigger any cutscene or if they start teleporting or jumping around. This is very valuable for specific speed clear setups, or at least against annoying teleporting enemies, and honestly, it kind of gives you an option, right? Either you pause the boss with Tangtang's ult and nuke them to death with your DPS, or you maximize debuffs and buffs for most damage in the long run, though you may sacrifice the pause time since you would end Tangtang's ult early. In any case though, I like the versatility that she's able to bring for you. You can go all in on damage, or you can go for utility, stopping a boss whole. I think that's something very unique that no one else is able to do. And as for some alternative examples though, here we have Fluorite to replace Gilberta in the same team. Now Fluorite is certainly weaker in terms of increasing damage output for the team, but she does have very consistent arts infliction, allowing for very speedy cryo infliction stacks, and you get to spam Yvonne's ult way quicker since you will be converting a lot of stacks into energy. It's my personal favorite Yvonne team right now for comfiness. Tangtang's slow being fully utilized by Fluorite is also pretty cool too. And yep, I bet if you have fully built a Fluorite, you will actually see very solid damage from every single person on the team. Well, except for Zaihi, obviously. Still, it's one of the funnest team though. I actually recommend you trying it out. With that team out the way, let's move on to the next best team for Tangtang, and it will be a general last Rite team, featuring last Rite, Zaihi, Tangtang, and any other cryo related support. In this case, I will be going with Fluorite. They're definitely unique setups that run Perlica instead for a speed nuke team or any other cryo related characters really, like a Lesh or Snowshine. Each of them has their own pros and cons, and in the case of Fluorite here, while she doesn't provide damage increase for like last Rite in terms of buffing her or in terms of debuffing the enemy, Fluorite does provide a lot of cryo infliction that helps last Rite just generate that combo so many times, getting the ult so quickly, and it's honestly really comfy to use. And let's check out how that combo would go. To start us off, you want to do the usual Zaihi and last Rite skill before going in, then charge up last Rite's final strike, and go ahead and use Tangtang's skill into her combo. That will be 1 cryo infliction. Then last Rite's final strike will be the second cryo infliction, which triggers Fluorite's combo. Use her combo and ult, and that will add 2 total inflictions as a whole, and now you'll have a total of 4. That'll open up last Rite's combo, and you get a very big nuke right there. Then use last Rite's skill into final strike, which activates Zaihi's combo. And similar to before, this is when Tangtang's combo is just about available again. So go ahead and use that. That will be your second whirlpool, and that should be your second cryo infliction from last Rite and Zaihi. From there, use Zaihi's ult, then Tangtang's ult. Then use last Rite's dive attack to end Tangtang's ult, gaining 3 water spouts and landing your third cryo infliction. That's when you use last Rite's skill into her final strike for the final 4th Cryo Infliction and go ahead and use her combo into her ultimate. The damage output will be insane here since you've maxed your buffs and debuffs here, but unfortunately though, the boss changed faces, so we didn't really get to see all the damage, but the general arrangement for the combo is there as long as you understand the logic behind. Thereafter, you'll mostly be doing the same things. Rather than sticking hard to the combo though, it's just better to work with the character's kit as you go. We know that with Rite, you want 4 Cryo Inflictions, and we know that with Tangtang, you want 2 Whirlpools, convert them into 3 Water Spouts. With the help of Zyhe and Fluorite, you have so much Cryo Inflictions that Rite is able to activate her kit very, very often, and as long as you can activate each of your characters one by one, you will be able to have your team really streamlined and they'll do their job fine. This is one of my favorite teams to just use for how quick everything triggers with each other and how quick we have inflictions going on. Now, there are speed nuke setups that uses Tangtang for sure, though it's not exactly the most practical team to use since that one in particular I have in mind will need Perlica instead of Fluorite. And hey, perhaps I'll have it be done in another video. It is doable, it's just not really realistic to like repetitively do it against like any other scenario. But in any case, hey, if you enjoyed so far and if you want to learn about those unique showcases, how about you drop a sub so you don't miss a video, huh? With that out the way, let's take a look at her potentials. Her P1 provides more damage on the combo skill, which doesn't really do that much damage to begin with, and also you get a good 2-second cooldown reduction. On top of that is an additional 5 SP return on the skill usage. This is overall an okay improvement, and it can open up faster team clears if you can take advantage of the minus 2-second cooldown and the SP return. For the general player though, P1 is not a priority. I personally prioritize her weapon, though I will say for some speed clears, the P1 will be very helpful just for the sake of timing. Her P2 is a raw damage and stat increase, not a priority but nice to have. Her P3 is one of her more valuable ones, which increases damage multiplier on her skill, and that is one of her main damage source. And on top of that, it even provides you with an additional 5% art susceptibility increase, so you now get a 15% at max. Very solid overall improvement at all fronts. You want to get to P3 if you really love Tangtang. Her P4 reduces her ult energy costs. This is more quality of life and allows for more damage stats than ult gain efficiency for some teams, and it makes your rotation smoother. Finally, P5, which is a sheer damage output increase for herself with her ult and the water spouts from the ult. It's a worthy potential for people aiming for the peak of Tangtang's own damage output, and by the time you get P5, she's straight up a main DPS now, or at least she can be. For the general public though, P5 is not realistic to go for, and this isn't exactly as game breaking enough for me to say you gotta empty your bank account for that P5, right? So overall, decent potentials, but I will say with this game, it is in my personal opinion that the end games are not hard enough that you have to be very efficient with potentials even. Usually, as long as you have like a fully built team, you'll be able to beat everything, so don't stress about it too much. If you really love a character, go crazy. And with that said, here's a quick conclusion on Tangtang. She's a top tier cryo inflictor with great damage increase capabilities. She has very good damage output for herself, which you can easily put her in a sub DPS position of the team that also improves damage for the whole team while doing damage herself. I recommend pulling her if you are a cryo team main, especially for Yvonne and Rite fans. However though, truth be told, is she an absolute must pull? The answer in my opinion would be no, since even without Tangtang, it's not like you can't already use the cryo team archetype well. I believe Tangtang opens up more versatility, smoother rotations, and higher overall damage ceiling for the cryo team archetype, so if you're aiming for that, Tangtang is a premier choice for you. Now there's also a thought about future characters, but well, you never know what future holds. Maybe Tangtang's value will increase even further with future cryo characters being released, but for now though, if you have her, it's great. It's good for cryo teams, and you're gonna have a banger of a time, but she's certainly not a must pull that you have to pull this character or you fall behind, right? And that is all for my complete Tangtang guide. I hope I helped you out. Good luck with your Tangtang pulls. Until next time, take care.